I think that our music, because we have people dancing blindfolded most of the time when we do this music, is very spiritual, it's very connected, to spirit. It's not just something that we're doing in our head. Something this is all spiritual coming from source. We don't contrive it, or let's play this. No, we don't do that. We let spirit come through us and tell us what to play.
More music variety on Power Ace Radio.
Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of PAR Meet the Artist. My name is Pali. I'll be the host of the show. Welcome to Power Ace Radio. And I will get my guests to please introduce yourself, tell us your name, tell us what you do. We know you're an artist, but tell us anyway, and tell us where you're from, please.
Hey, brother Polly, how you doing, man?
Well, thank you.
All right, yeah, my name is Safir Mahdi. I was born in New York City. My family on my mother's side has roots in Senegal, West Africa, Antigua, West Indies, and Dominican Republic. On my father's side, Africa and England, the UK. And so, yeah, my music is what I call world tribal. We do African, Native American, Middle Eastern, Latin. What I call, I've coined the phrase, we do transcultural migrations. Interweaving sounds. My main influence was Yusef Lateef, jazz musician who also integrated a lot of world music into the jazz. So he's my guy. So I've kind of patterned myself after Yusef Lateef.
Wow, that's I like that. I like the way you surrounded it, and yeah, I definitely listening to a few of your tracks. There is the deep cultural element into it. And one thing that struck, I just wanted to find out first. So, do you play the instruments? Because there's a fusion of different instruments in there. I know you did some collaborations. Well, so
Yeah.
do you play the instruments? Do you
we have I'm a healer. I'm a shaman and a healer. So our program is based on music healing, sound and music healing. So most of the music that you listen to, we have people dancing blindfolded.
Okay.
Yeah. So because in Africa, you call it call and response. So the musicians call and the dancers respond. So this helps connect the musicians and the dancers together as, in unity, in synergy. And that creates a spiral that keeps going and going and going. So it's a powerful translation of the movement. And also when people hear the music, they're translating that music into movement, which stimulates us as well. So we end up going all over the world, Africa, we go to, Asia, we go to, we do Latin America, we do all different cultures that come up in that moment in the music. It's not rehearsed. It's all spontaneous. I play the djembe, I play timbales, I play all kinds of percussion instruments and flutes from all over the world. Yeah. Whatever I get my hands on, brother, I can roll.
Absolutely, because I'm like, especially the ones that are solo, just you. I'm like, where do all these different sounds come from? So I'm glad
right.
You broke that
Yeah,
down.
well,
Thank you
in the first CD we did, Mystical Travels, and another CD called Tribal Awakening. It's just two of us on the CD, myself and Danny Oduduwa. You probably know that Oduduwa, he's Nigeria.
Yes. Oduduwa is a strong heritage name,
Oduduwa, Oduduwa.
Oduduwa. Yes, Oduduwa.
He's a master percussionist, drummer, vocalist, and he also plays bass. My dad played bass, upright bass with Thelonious Monk. So that's my roots. And my brother was a guitar player. So we didn't have the Jackson 5, we had the Jackson 3.
Nice. I like that a lot. Because kind of goes really into like my question that, your the title itself, one for the ancestors. Talking about this track,
One
it
for the
suggests
answers.
it suggests a heritage and like something like a legacy you're trying to convey. So can
Yeah,
you elaborate on the
yeah.
emotions you want to convey in this song?
Well, that was interesting because it was written by it was conceived by a brother named Farai. Farai. He's based in Oakland, California. Incredible musician. He looks and sounds like Bob Marley. He's unbelievable.
Mm,
One day I walked into his studio. He was recording something, and it was called "One for the Ancestors." And he needed someone to play the congas, and I just happened to walk in the studio at the right moment, and I started playing the congas, and it was just in the moment, spontaneous improvisation. What
mm,
happened with the
mm,
ancestors in mind, of course. So I didn't know he played soprano sax. I thought he just played bass and guitar and sang. But to my surprise, he plays soprano sax. So we got into it. And then another musician just walked in who's a piano player. And he just kind
mm,
of sat down, started playing some chords on the piano while we were into the one for the ancestors. And then Farah's daughter was in the room, and she was, having fun.
mm.
So it was like, one for the ancestors.
Wow, that is really, really cool. Because I'm like, one for the ancestors sounds
Yeah,
very that you're
yeah,
trying to bring something back from way back in the past.
yeah,
We're not talking about yesterday, we're talking about the ancestors. We're talking about, and
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
you mentioned a name like,
all my
um,
music is spiritual music. It's all
mm,
tribal, spiritual. It's all about honoring, our ancestors, really, because this is
mm,
indigenous tribal music. My new CD is called Jungle Jams that I'm coming out with in a couple of months. Jungle Jams, again, going back to the roots, going back to the source, because
mm,
music today is overproduced, in my opinion. You got
mm,
too much stimuli going on. So we just
mm,
like to keep it very simple, very basic. Drums, flutes, percussion, vocals, but so we can hear each other, we can listen to each other and really
mm,
appreciate what we are doing together because it's about communication. So what good is it just to play notes if you're not communicating? Someone might like it, but is it really have had that special feeling to it? I
mm,
think that our music, because we have people dancing blindfolded most of the time when we do this music, is very spiritual, it's very connected, to spirit. It's not
mm.
just something that we're doing in our head. Something this is all spiritual coming from source. We don't contrive it or let's play this. No, we don't do that. We let spirit come through us and tell us what to play.
Wow, that is really, really cool. So you just play in the moment, nothing
In that
rehearsed, nothing.
Right, no rehearsals, in the moment, whatever spirit brings, we say, okay, this is perfect. You know, like my
That's perfect.
partner Danny, when we first did the first CD, Mystical Travels, he was tripping, man. He was like, we got to go in the studio, we got to do this, we got to clean it up. I said, no, Danny. I said, just listen to the song, to the CD for a week, and come back and we'll talk about it. And he went
Mm,
and listened to it for a week, came back, he said, you're right, it's perfect.
mm. Doesn't need anything else. I like that. I like that a lot. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and
it's
and how
perfect.
long have you been doing music for?
Since I was a kid. I started in a marching band in New York, Long Island, New York. You know, you know, marching band, rat tat tat tat.
Ah,
and then
okay.
and then when I was 19, before I went to the army, I picked up the recorder flute. Started playing recorder flutes. I used to go on top of the Americana Hotel in New York City. It's 52 stories high, and I would go on top of the Americana and I would play my flute to the city, to the sounds of the city. you
Wow.
know, it was pretty. That was a trip. And so I'd be up
Wow.
there like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, just playing my flute to me and to the city. And so that's how
Mm,
I self-taught myself how to play drums and flutes myself, just playing, getting. I always tell people, look, get to know the instrument first.
mm,
Before if you decide you want to take music lessons or read notes, great, but have a relationship with the instrument first. So
mm,
that's what I believe. You just develop the relationship. It's like a person. You develop the relationship with the person first, which is the instrument in this case, and then you can do anything you want once you have the relationship developed.
mm,
But you
mm,
have to have that foundation first. Some people go straight to learning how to read notes, but they violate the spirit when they do that because they're going at it backwards from my perspective.
No, that definitely that makes sense. That makes sense a lot.
Yeah,
And
musicians who read notes, they get mad at me because I'm outside of my mind. I'm out there, and so
mm,
they're still locked into the notes, and it's hard to break out of the notes once you get locked into the notes. It's
mm,
like they
mm,
need a cane or walking stick to find their way.
they need something to walk them through it. I get you.
Yeah,
I get you a lot.
to break through, 'cause
Hmm.
they
And
stuck in the box. Yeah,
I was kind of gonna go back to this track, the one for the ancestors.
yeah,
So this
okay,
is from the album Global Village, right?
yeah. Global Village Volume One, I
Mm,
believe. We had a
yeah,
Global Village Volume One and Volume Two.
volume two, exactly. So how does this fit into, because something called Global Village anyway, as you said, yeah, it's very cultural. It takes you back home. Well,
Yeah,
being Nigerian or
sure.
being from Nigerian origin, it takes me back home like, oh, village, global village. Oh, so how does one for your ancestors fit into this global village as an
Well,
album?
that's a really great question, brother. Um, we have a company called Global Village, and it's actually a co-op. It's cooperatively owned by the members. One member, one vote. Democratically controlled, neutral in race, religion, and politics. So I created a song called Prosperity, which is the theme song for Global Village. And it talks about the time that we've all been waiting for is finally here, and we know within ourselves who we are. Those of us who accept responsibility for creating our own lives moment by moment have always been looking for a platform big enough to fully express and manifest our dreams and aspirations. Okay.
Mm,
And so
mm,
Global Village Volume One and Two is a dedication to the co-op that we created that we're working on launching this year. So it's a way for us to recycle our money back to ourselves, the way we used to do in communal societies in Africa and other indigenous cultures. We worked together, we cooperated, okay, we shared everything, we shared the wealth. We weren't trying
mm,
to hoard everything for ourselves or get an advantage over someone else. So that's the spiritual message in the music is that we need to cooperate and serve each other. We need to get away from this consciousness of competition and conflict, which leads to war. So we're saying
mm.
let's replace the competition conflict paradigm with cooperation service paradigm, which leads to peace and
Mm.
happiness and prosperity.
Absolutely. No,
So
I
that's
like
the
the sound
message.
of that.
That's the
No, I
message
like
in
that a lot.
the global village. So we want to create a global village where we can all cooperate and serve each other and recycle the money back to ourselves every day. Because the only
Mm,
reason why we are struggling as artists or as people is because we keep giving money away to people who don't give any of that money back. So I do have a business side of me along with my spiritual shaman side where I'm working on uplifting the community.
wow, wow, wow. That's really cool. So if we're by it, or as you said, Global Village One, Global Village Two, there's a whole load of tracks in there that I'm listening to. Like, wow, there's some gems in here. So
Thank you. Thank
and
you. Appreciate
and
that.
you're very welcome. And during recording that, are there any challenges? I know you said you just leave it to the spirit to take over, but working with
Well,
people generally is hard. And are there any specific challenges you
yeah,
came across recording?
the challenge is for people to get out of their head. They can't get out of their head. They're constantly thinking and they're constantly judging themselves, so they're judging what they're doing. So it's like if, for example, if Michael Jordan, the basketball player, or Steph Curry, the three-point shooter, if they thought about making a shot, they would miss it.
Mm,
So they go into the zone, and so they just throw it up. See, and they trust spirit. So the same thing with the music. You throw it up and you trust spirit. You know that it's perfect. You know if you're out of your head and you're tuned into spirit, it's going to come out perfect every time. But when you
mm,
play something and then you say, "Oh, that wasn't right," then you start judging yourself. Intellect, when people get intellectual about music or anything else, it violates the spirit. You see, it
mm,
violates the spirit of something when you overthink it, overanalyze it. People don't trust themselves. They don't trust spirit. They don't know that the God is within, that the kingdom of God is within. And we talk about it in church. Yeah, the kingdom of God is within, but then in life we don't live it, you see. So you have to live it in order for it to manifest into reality in your life. If you just talk about spiritual principles, but you don't actually live those principles, then you know nothing. You're just repeating what someone else said.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. Of course, with most musicians, it's all about, theory, score theory. This is how it's got to be. You can't break away from it. So no, I could imagine that.
Yeah,
That being a big conflict.
that's why it's hard for most musicians to play with our group Spirit Dance and to play with me, because I said forget everything you know.
Mm,
That's what I tell them. To do this music, you got to forget everything you think you know and just let it flow.
like
Get
feel
out,
feel the energy.
get out of your own way. Just get out of the way. I
Mm,
mean, that was
mm,
hard for Danny Oduduwa in the beginning, because he, has credentials. Played with George Benson. He's played with a lot of top artists all over the world, and so for me to tell him stop thinking, he, he thought I was crazy. But then
wow.
after he got into the vibe and we communicated and trusted each other, then the magic happens. The magic
Wow,
just happens.
that's
Yeah, it's
okay.
powerful.
And the magic happening is one thing, but how do you decide on balancing between, you have modern and traditional sounds? How
Again,
do you bring this
again,
together?
my brother, we don't think. We don't think about it.
Mm,
We just do it. You know what I'm saying? And whatever comes out, comes out. And that's the beauty of it all. It's like we had our CD that we did, Mystical Travels. We had 25 healers, healing
mm,
practitioners that I invited personally to be a part of the recording session. So they were blindfolded. So you can imagine 25 healers blindfolded dancing to tribal music in the moment. And then we would travel from Africa to Cuba to South America, Brazil, musically. So we're on this musical journey, and you don't need a passport, you know.
they say music is free.
Yeah, you just travel musically. We take you there, and we don't
Mm,
know where we're going to go next. It might be because of a movement that one of the people that was dancing blindfolded, that made a movement, and that movement triggered a certain rhythm, a certain melody, a certain beat. Boom, we're in it,
mm,
just like that.
mm.
We just connected. It's all
Hmm.
connected.
That is pretty. So, because then let's say, because my next question will be that what's your future plan? But if you say you don't know, you just follow you just follow the energy. How does that work?
Well, I had some lyrics. I'm also a writer, so I write, but I didn't know how to put my writing into music format. So I've been experimenting with different artists, and also I've been experimenting with AI a little bit. So I've got some songs that we're coming out with that's going to be lyrics, vocals, and music combination. I have a song called No games. No games. I have another song called God is Awake in Me. God is awake. Yeah, God is awake. God is awake in me. That kind of thing. And it's a chorus. It ended up coming to me in a vision, in a dream, and I saw it. God is awake in me. So I don't want to be divisive or divide people by just talking about Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad, but this is God. So however people see God, that's fine. But God is awake in me. So, I'm experimenting with some vocal stuff we'll be coming out with this year. Pretty
Nice,
cool.
nice, nice.
I've
So they're not
already got 15 musical CDs. We got 9 online now, I believe, and another, 8 or 9 coming that we haven't put out yet.
So, and a lot of these were out in 2000 and, well, I saw a lot of them were the last year. Like, is
Yeah.
that when you started going kind of digital with your
Yes.
music?
Yes.
Ah.
We used to just sell CDs prior to that, like everybody else, right? Doing CDs. But now, it's all digital. So I got all these old CDs that I can't do anything with. But some people still want CDs.
Absolutely. People
You
still want the
know?
physical copy of something.
Yeah,
You know.
some people still want CDs. So I can provide CDs for those people out there that want CDs who are we call old school.
That's really cool.
I have cassettes too.
Oh, wow.
I have cassette tapes, CDs.
Well,
So I go way back. I have
that's
radio shows that we're all over the internet with. A show called The Healthy Grocer, Natural Grocer, and a show called Homeostasis, where we talk about spiritual laws and metaphysics. So keep an eye on those. They're on Spotify and all the platforms. The Healthy Grocer and Homeostasis. Those are the 2 main ones that we have out there right now. Educating people spiritually, getting people spiritually in tune. And all my music is featured on all of these radio podcasts. So I'm used
really
to
cool.
being on the radio, man. This is
Oh, nice.
my thing.
This is your bread and butter.
Yeah, I started on radio back in 1989, 87 actually.
Wow.
In Baltimore. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time, yeah, before you were born, right?
Well, I was
Close.
a baby. I was a baby.
Yeah, Morgan State University Radio. That's what we start on public radio.
Wow, that is really, really cool. So
I
you
started a
found,
show. I created a
obviously,
show
you
called The
found
Stress Test.
music first.
Yeah, music is my love. That's my true love. Is music. I'm the happiest when I'm playing music. But I'm also a spiritual person. I'm a shaman and I'm a healer, and I discovered that when I was younger, and so I leaned in that direction. So my first radio show was called The Stress Test, and then Homeostasis, where I taught spiritual principles and spiritual law on the radio. And then I would play the music before I would do a seminar or a workshop to help people relax. So that's how I started to incorporate the music into the spiritual work. That's how it happened.
I like that. And let me kind of running a bit out of time, but I've got to cover this bit. Like, just I'm curious now. That what is the weirdest place or situation where you found inspiration for all these different tracks that you make? So
It just flows. It just flows through me, man. That's all I can say. It just flows through me genetically, I guess, in my soul memory. Because my dad, being a musician, bass player, my brother being a guitar player, it's just a natural flow that takes place. It's nothing that I have to really work on. I just start playing the drums and spirit guides me from there. I just start playing the flute and spirit guides me from there. I don't really have any ritual or anything I have to do. I can just jump into it in any given moment. I mean, we had as many as 600 people dancing blindfolded to tribal music. With Reverend Michael Beckwith. You ever see the movie called The Secret?
No.
The Secret, yeah. It's about the law of attraction, and anyway, Reverend Michael Beckwith, founder of Agape Spiritual Center in Los Angeles, he booked my group Spirit Dance to do a healing at an event called the Revelations Conference in Los Angeles at the LAX Marriott Grand Ballroom. So we had 600 people that they provided blindfolds for that were dancing blindfolded in the Grand Ballroom of LAX. And Brother So May, the spiritual brother shaman So May, was the keynote speaker. He's from Burkina Faso, and he was a keynote speaker. In my group Spirit Dance, Reverend Michael said, "Okay, we're going to do Spirit Dance now," and everyone picked up a blindfold, and then we started with tribal rhythms, and people danced.
Wow.
Okay, 600 plus people. We had 25 people we call spotters to watch out for those 600 people to make sure they didn't hurt themselves while they were dancing blindfolded. So we had protection for them. That I chose these 25, 30 people that were there to keep an eye on people when they were dancing blindfolded. And then the next day, I sold over 100 CDs of Mystical Travels the next day.
Wow, that's well, yeah, well.
Yeah, people say, "Is this the music that you were playing last night?" I said,
I
"Yeah,
want some.
I want it."
Absolutely. No, I like the sound of that. And
Yeah,
let
100.
me kind of,
Go ahead.
I was just going to go into another random question of mine, really, as to we're talking about ancestors. And I just thought, oh, imagine. So we're in this day and age. If there was one modern invention that you could show to your ancestors, way back then, um, what would it be? How do you think they would perceive it if you show them something like Spotify or, show them something like a mobile phone? What do you think these ancestors, how do you think they would feel?
They would probably laugh, and they would say, "Why are you spending all this time looking outside of yourself?"
Mm,
Like when all the power is inside. So it's like the story about the guy who was on the side of the road. It was a lake, and he stopped. He was fishing, and this rich guy drives by in a limousine, and he sees him. He said, "Look at that guy out there. He's fishing, wasting his time." So he goes over to the guy. He says, "Hey, come with me. We'll go buy some ships. We'll go out on the ocean, catch thousands of fish. We make millions of dollars, and then you can do anything you want." And the guy says, "Well, I got to go through all that just to end up back at the fishing hole. This is what I want to do. I want to fish. I'm happy. Why do I need all that stress?"
just,
Going
mm,
in circles. Why people work so hard so they can retire? Well, he's already retired. He's already
mm,
sitting at the fishing hole fishing. He's happy.
just living his best
Yeah,
life already.
yeah. I don't think I could take the ancestors anything that they would be too impressed with.
Yeah,
I
I
think they
feel
would
you.
just like, let's get back to basics, y'all.
Mm.
It's like, how you gonna be in the house and you're texting your child in the house? That's ridiculous. Come on. If your child's in the
Mm,
next room, you go in the next room, you knock on the door, and you talk to your child.
mm,
You don't text them.
mm. I like that. I like the answer. I like where you went with that. This could be a complete whole conversation right now.
That's true. I can get really
Well,
as deep as you want to go, brother.
absolutely. We definitely might take you up on that one.
Okay.
But let me another random question that while you're in the studio, imagine an ancestor, something from way back in maybe, I know you've got a friend called Oduduwa, Oduduwa is one of like the gods, like we believe actually was sent to the
Right.
earth, and there's a whole thing about Oduduwa. If you could pick one ancestor to be in the studio with you, who would he be and what instruments would they play?
Well, they show up at the studio all the time, and they show up whenever I play all the time. Matter of fact, they've been on some of my music.
Mm,
I mean, actually, you could hear them. Seriously, if you listen very
mm,
closely to some of my flute playing, there's a second breath that takes place when I'm playing Native American flutes and other flutes, that the ancestor will just show up and take over my breath. And the second breath takes place that I have no idea where it came from. I also do a program I developed called musical auras. Like they have photographic auras. As a shaman, I created a program called musical auras, where I translate people's energy, because I see energy. I translate their energy to music, and I put it on their own CD, their own soundtrack, their own individual personal soundtrack. I've done these, over 400 of these, for 400 different people. I've got over 400 CDs of musical aura music that is all different, from over 400 different people that I translated their energy to music, if you can imagine that. And so on some of these, and there's one in particular that I was doing for a young girl who had an incurable disease, and her ancestors and her angels and her guides showed up and actually played music in this session that I had with her. And you can actually hear it on the recording. So yeah, they show up. They just invite,
that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, they invite themselves. They don't need you to invite them.
So the invitation, that's
When
really,
they hear the music, and they just show up. It's like when I was in the healing center, or not healing center, but I was in the rocks where the Indians lived up in the rocks in Arizona. And I would play this Native American flute, Navajo flute. And I played the Navajo flute, the wind would blow. It was like the spirits talking to me. We like it. And then I played a different flute that wasn't a Native American flute in that place, and was no wind at all, nothing. They didn't like it. You know, I played a Japanese style flute. They said, no, they didn't like that.
No, not this one. Try something else.
Play the Native American flute. They like that. Then one time I'm in the Grand Canyon, and I'm playing my Native American flute into the canyon, into the Grand Canyon. And I feel this presence around me, right? And I look up, and there's 3 eagles circling over my head. 3 eagles just circling over me,
wow.
digging the flute music. And then I looked behind me, and there was a crowd of about 50 people watching this whole thing go down.
Well, we could literally talk about this all day, but we'd like have less than a minute to kind of summarize.
All right. Well, you listen to my music. You listen to my music. You know, you can hear the spirit in the music.
No, absolutely. I feel you. Thank you so much. And I said we're going to wrap up. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll be there to go and search. It's Safer, SAFEER and
actually pronounced Safir Mahdi.
Safir Mahdi.
Or Safir Mahdi.
Safir Mahdi.
Safir. Which means ambassador, mediator, ambassador, mediator. So that's what I do with the music, ambassador of music.
Yes, so Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Power Ace Radio.